So today I wanted to talk about negative entities. So I plan to share different stories of things that I've experienced during my spiritual awakening to help other people navigate their spiritual awakening. And negative entities were one of the first things that I experienced, and I had no idea what they were, what that was about, and honestly, for the first year of my awakening, I was terrified to go to sleep at night. So today I just wanted to kind of start talking about the concept of negative entities and share a story of the first time that I experienced a negative entity. So, first of all, let's just talk about what negative entities are. Negative entities are just energy that is not of a positive nature, that they are thought forms, they are created, they are not connected to source in any way, shape, or form, and they can, once you start opening up your psychic abilities, you may start to experience them, and that is because you're opening up to the next dimension. And in that next dimension is where you start seeing more energy. It's kind of, the negative entities are associated with the lower realms. And so what happened with me was I had a Kundalini activation, and then after that, it opened up my third eye. And I did not really, at that time, I was very confused as to what was happening with me and all the different things that I was experiencing. And so, one of the first things I experienced was a negative entity. And so, the very first one that happened was I was laying in my bed at night and I saw something that was just kind of like a little black blob, and I saw it just kind of dart across my stomach. And I, kind of was like startled just because I saw this black shadow and it was, really close to me. And then the next thing I see it, like, shoot down the side of the bed or come up or something. It was like on the side of the bed. But I would consider that energy to be kind of mischievous. It was almost like it was just like playing with me. And then later on, I had to go use a restroom, and I went into the restroom and I saw this kind of black blob up towards the ceiling. And so it's something that you kind of just like see out of the corner of your eye. You're like, what's that? And so anyway, so I just saw it real briefly and then I didn't. But what was funny about that time was I had a little black rabbit at the time, and she was free to roam the house. And she just kind of ran into the bathroom at that same time and just scared me. And so that was just kind of funny because once you kind of get spooked, you're like anything black is gonna like startle you, or you can be startled easily. So that was the first thing that happened. So it wasn't that overwhelming. It's just I, started to see these kind of black shadows. And at the time, I was undergoing acupuncture, which is a healing modality that I really recommend if you have the opportunity to do that. I think that's an amazing healing modality. So I had been going to acupuncture, and this woman that was doing the acupuncture was trained in traditional medicine. So she was a nurse, but then she, went full time as an acupuncture person. And she was also tuned in to, psychic connections and psychic abilities. And I think that she could tell that there was something going on with me. And she said, I have a friend who does Reiki. I think, you might want to try that out. And I was like, okay. So I went to the person that she recommended, and she was this Hispanic lady that had her practice in her home. And, I think I just want to say right now, when you start to wake up and you start to feel like you want to start trying out these different healing modalities, I would say kind of trust your intuition as far as people that you go to and that you trust. I think, a lot of times people work out of their home, and it's really good to, trust your intuition, or, either get a referral from someone. And that's what happened to me in this case. And so I, went to this lady, and she did a little bit a different type of thing where she, kind of talked through things with you, and then she did the Reiki treatment, which is actually a different form of Reiki than I am trained in. But at the time, I did not know that. So anyway, so we were doing a Reiki treatment, and then afterwards she said, I just want to let you know that you had two negative entities attached to you, and she said I sent them onto the light. And I told her, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been seeing that. I did not know what that was. And she, explained, yeah, they're drawn to your light. That once you start to wake up spiritually, you kind of light up. And these entities are kind of drawn to your light because they're not connected to source. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And she goes, I don't always tell everybody what's happening or what I see because I don't think they can handle it, but I think, you could. So I wanted to let you know. And so I was really relieved that she was able to, get rid of those things. But what was funny about it was later on, I went home and I told my husband at the time, and he said, I've been seeing those things too. He said, I saw them in the garage one day, and he, kind of jokingly said, so you're the one that brought those home. So, even he could pick up on it, even though he, technically, hadn't been going through an awakening, but he was in tune enough psychically to also be able to see them. So I thought that was kind of funny because I had no idea he was also seeing something. But anyway, I just wanted to share that experience with you. Like I said, they are just negative thought forms. They're not something that you need to worry about. You can easily get rid of them. You can just, I do different things, but one thing that I always recommend to people is just saying, I invoke the I am in me, and I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ, and I ask you to leave. That was something that was taught to me by someone that was helping me through my awakening at the time. So I just wanted to share that story. I have many more stories to share. So in case you are starting to experience these things, you don't need to worry about them. They are just energy, and they're not going to hurt you. All right, thanks. Bye.